Hello friends. Though mains answer writing is very simple, for most of the candidates it is a challenge. Many aspirants misunderstand the reason. They think it is due to lack of information or knowledge, and they spend most of their time in gathering more and more information. But answer writing is all about presenting right quantity of right information in right time in right manner. If you can correctly understand this, you can write very beautiful answers. So I am coming up with this video, the three Ratnas of Mains Answer Writing. It is very useful video. So welcome to Asan IAS. Friends, if you can believe, you may start. But if you can understand, you will achieve. First, let me show you what are the three Ratnas. One is right focus. Don't worry, I will explain one by one. Second one is right sequence or right coherence. And the third one is right time. What is this right focus? क्या है right focus? क्या हम मेंस का आंसर्स लिखने जा रहे हैं या कोई फोटोशूट करने जा रहे हैं? Suppose you hire a videographer for your wedding. Of course, he has a great workmanship, no doubt in that. In fact, he shot beautiful videos of the entire decoration. But unfortunately, he could not cover the couple faces well. The faces came out so dull. So how will you react? आपको इतना गुस्सा आएगा, आप उनको पेमेंट तक नहीं दोगे. Because the major attraction in the wedding is the couple, not the decoration. The same way, many aspirants write very beautiful answers, but not relevant answers. जिस सेंस में क्वेश्चन पूछा है उस तरीके से आंसर नहीं लिखते हैं. So how to write relevant answers? We understand this at three levels. One is at module level or subject level. Second, at question level. Third, using the descriptive word, or you can say question descriptor. What exactly is asked in the question. I mean, with the help of this question tag. Many aspirants understand only the third level, but the first two levels are also very important. So let us see one by one. First, we understand at subject level or module level. Let me take a question, which was asked in 2018 in GS paper 1. Despite implementation of various programs for eradication of poverty by the government in India, poverty is still existing. Explain by giving reasons. Simple question. Though various government is implementing various programs for eradication of poverty, poverty is still existing. Explain by giving reasons. I would like to take another question which was asked in 2017 in GS paper 2. Poverty alleviation programs in India remain mere showpieces until and unless they are backed by political will. Discuss with reference to the performance of the major poverty alleviation programs in India. If you look at these two questions, almost the demand of these questions is similar. Broadly speaking, you can mention some of the major poverty alleviation programs, loopholes in their implementation, and if possible, you can mention 2-3 suggestions also for better implementation of those programs. This answer suits for second question. Like, he's asking clearly, discuss with reference to the performance of the major poverty alleviation programs in India. So you can mention some of the major poverty alleviation programs and you can discuss the performance. If there are any loopholes, you can mention and you can give some suggestions or whatever it is. Coming to the first question also, with a little modification, 95% of aspirants write the same answer. They mention some of the government programs for the eradication of poverty. Of course, we may not able to eradicate, but for the alleviation of poverty. They mention the loopholes in their implementation and conclude it by saying, so poverty is still existing. Not only the candidates, even the ideal answers written in various books and given by various institutions, toppers and seniors also include similar answer. Moreover, they also pass a pre-comment. You can expect any surprise from UPSC. You see, sometimes a question can be asked in paper 2 and sometimes a similar question can also be asked in paper 1 or paper 3. Even if you look at the syllabus, some concepts like women, poverty, development, these are repeatedly mentioned across various papers. लगता है पेपर सेटर पागल है, सेम चीज बार बार लिखा है. Now understand my words very carefully. If you write this kind of answer for the first question, you will not get marks. No doubt your answer may be good, but you see this question was asked in GS paper 1. Here, our focus should not be on the failure of the government in implementing these poverty alleviation programs, because we talk about the government in paper 2. Paper 1 is all about history, geography and society. So without mentioning the historical, geographical and societal aspect for the continued existence of poverty, the answer to question 1 will be incomplete. Historical aspect means how certain classes of people were deprived of various resources from the past. Geographical aspect means how people born in certain regions like parts of Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, that especially from hill and forest areas where they cannot claim entitlement rights of land. Societal aspect means how social exclusion and other social evils are the reason for this continued existence of poverty. So what you can call the chronic poverty, or you can say the inherited poverty, or you can say the poverty from one generation to next generation, are the reasons for its continued existence. So government, of course you can conclude by saying government should keep these factors in mind while implementing poverty alleviation programs. But the first question is not about the failure of these programs, while implementing these programs. Here you must talk about in a larger scale by going back to history, going back to geography and looking at the society. That's the way you have to look at the questions, because it was asked in GS paper 1. So you must understand the requirement of each paper. What is the requirement of GS1? What is the requirement of GS2? What is the requirement of GS3? General Studies paper 1 talk about observation. History, you just observe, you can study. You cannot change it. Geography, you cannot change it, overnight or anything. It may change, over a longer period of time, but it's not that you are changing. Society, you cannot change it. You can only observe the changes. You can study the changes so that, you can keep these studies, and if you go to paper 2, then you can bring good governance. The government role comes, keeping the policy making come in paper 2, keeping the observations from paper 1. And third paper is about people and development. So you must understand the requirement of UPSC, at subject level. Anyway, I am not teaching you the concept or trying to answer these questions here, but understand my message. You need to have a clear idea about the requirements of each paper. Otherwise, the dimension of your answer will change altogether. You assume that you have written great answers. Yes, they are great answers, no doubt, but they are not fulfilling the demand of the question, the subject. And your answers are not fulfilling the requirement of the paper setter. So obviously, you won't get the desired marks. After module level, Second, you must understand how to focus at question level. Take this question asked in Civil Services 2020 in GS paper 3. Discuss the recent measures initiated in disaster management by the Government of India departing from the earlier reactive approach. For any module, what you require, you must gather the things in an order. The structure of the entire module should be very clear to you. For example, you talk about disaster management. I divide this into 4 parts. Basics, disaster management in India, natural disasters, and human-induced disasters. In basics, we understand some definitions like what is risk, what is vulnerability, all such things. Then we talk about effects of disaster, disaster management definition, disaster management process, pre and post disaster management, and community-based disaster management, role of NGOs. Then disaster management in India, Disaster Management Act 2005, very broad idea, 2 points each. National Disaster Management Policy 2009 and update 2019, National Disaster Management Authority and National Executive Council, UN agencies on disaster management, HIGO and Sendai framework for disaster management, and disaster risk reduction, and recently started by Modi in 2019, CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, etc. Means whatever is happening. Then natural disasters like earthquake, tsunami, flood, drought, cyclone, cloudburst, landslide, avalanche, heat wave, cold wave, fog, forest fire, epidemics, etc. Very broad idea. Hardly all this will take hardly 4 to 5 hours. Human-induced disasters like oil spills, nuclear disasters, others. Very broad idea. Now, at the question level, whenever you see the question, you should understand what you are going to pick from that module, from that subject. For example, you see, discuss the recent measures initiated in disaster management by the Government of India. That means the focus here is on this National Disaster Management Policy 2019 compared to 2009. So, what are the recent measures initiated? But not if you need not go so depth into that. You can add certain more also. For example, you can also mention disaster risk reduction, because if you understand this 2019 NDMP, you will better understand it. Instead of going for post-disaster management, the focus is more on disaster risk reduction and creating such infrastructure which is disaster resilient. So you can also focus on DRR and CDRI, even to add more value, because it was asked for 15 marks, 250 words. So what you can do, you can start by mentioning disaster management definition. If possible, not taking lot of sentences, but in the form of diagram, you can quickly represent disaster management process, of course, both pre and post disaster management. So your focus should be on these areas. You have to identify that. Okay, this is the question asked, and from this module, this is my focus area at the question level. Now you can frame your answer for any subject, not only here. Since this is a simple module, the whole module you can show in one slide. Sometimes you may not be able to show in one slide, then you can show it in 2 parts, 2 slides or 4 parts. For example, take all these questions, look at these questions. A question asked in 2013. Critically examine the effects of globalization on the aged population in India. Discuss the positive and negative effects of globalization on women in India, asked in 2015. To what extent globalization has influenced The core of cultural diversity in India. Explain. 2016. Globalization is generally said to promote cultural homogenization. But due to these, cultural specificities appear to be strengthened in the Indian society. Elucidate. 2018. Are we losing our local identity for the global identity? Discuss. 2019. Is diversity and pluralism in India under threat due to globalization? Justify your answer. 2020. See, where is the difference? Hope you are understanding. Look at the questions. If you see the question asked in 2020, is diversity and pluralism in India under threat due to globalization? Now you see, you look at this question, 2018 question, even 2016 question, 70% of answer matches. Globalization is generally said to promote cultural homogenization, but due to this cultural specificities appear to be strengthened. Similarly, to what extent globalization has influenced the core of cultural diversity in India? So if you can make, like Indian society I divide into 4 parts, out of that globalization is one part, I am showing only the part of globalization. First, you understand the basics of globalization. Understand here what is globalization, have a definition. What are the factors aiding globalization? Then you understand the effect on Indian culture, how the culture like homogenization, unity and pluralism, how, in what direction it is going. Like on both sides, globalization has both positive and negative effects. Understand that. Even diversity, how it is changing. Then you go even, more in depth, like look at the different sections, how this globalization is affecting different sections of Indian society, how it is affecting women, how it is affecting youngsters, how it is affecting children, how it is affecting aged population, how it is affecting poor people, how it is affecting disabled people, how it is affecting rural people, how it is affecting urban people. 1 line or 2 lines each, not that each is of 4 pages or 5 pages. Very broad idea. 2 things. What happened? रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट में क्या हुआ, अर्बन एम्प्लॉयमेंट में क्या हुआ. Very simple. Similarly, effect on different institutions which are coming from, ages, like how it is affecting the family structure, how it is affecting the religion, caste, marriage, all these things. Even you can talk about how it is affecting trade and economy and employment. But more of those things we will talk in paper 3. So the effects of globalization on Indian society is what is mentioned in the syllabus. If you properly have 1 or 2 points, basic points, based on that itself you can build answers to all the questions. How to do that? We will learn in a while. We'll look at that also. So the first step is preparing the whole subject, with very structured and lot of clarity you should have. You should build that module. Instead of just reading whatever is given in books or some resources, it's not. It's like, you collect and keep it in proper order. So whenever you require, you decide where to focus. Suppose this is the area to be focused for a specific question. You can pick 70% from that and you can pick 30% from rest of the sources to interconnect that. So how to do that also we understand with time. Hope you are understanding. So understand in which paper the question is asked at the module level. Understand what is the question, so where to focus, which section or which part to focus on that subject. And third is based on descriptive word. In many questions, if you observe, question descriptors like state, define, describe, account for, enumerate, list, mention, substantiate with examples, explain, elaborate, elucidate, illustrate, justify, clarify, demonstrate, analyze, appraise, assess, examine, evaluate, review, comment. Do you agree? Discuss, debate, argue, critically analyze, critically examine. So many question descriptors. Though understanding the keyword is important, you see there are many such keywords. So do we need to remember the meaning of each keyword and write a different answer based on the keyword? कंसेप्ट को याद रखना ही दूर की बात है, ये कीवर्ड्स को याद रखना ही बड़ी चैलेंज लग रहा है, इतना कीवर्ड्स. बट डोंट वरी, इवन पेपर सेटर इतना नहीं सोचते हैं while using these descriptors in a question. बट इसका मतलब ये नहीं है इन कीवर्ड्स का कोई मतलब ही नहीं है. So what we do, we can broadly divide these keywords into 5 categories. And we just understand these 5 broad ways of presenting our answers. इससे ज्यादा डेप्थ में जाके कंफ्यूज होने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. So what we do, if you look at these descriptors, first type very basic, very simple. That means you just need to write what it is. For example, if the question talk about state something, define something, describe something, that means you just write what it is. Account for, list, enumerate, mention, substantiate with examples. That means you just list down. So you need not explain them. You simply have to list down. List down the reasons for the failure of so-and-so program. Just list down. Don't mention why they have failed. Why, those reasons. So here it is a basic level of question where you just have to mention or you just have to define. Second type, थोड़ा डेप्थ में जाके explain, elaborate, elucidate, illustrate, justify, clarify, demonstrate. Here what you do, you provide some details like how, like why. It's not just stating. Here you mug up and state it, it will do. Here you give logical explanation also, reasons also. Level 2. Level 3. Analyze, appraise, assess, examine, evaluate, review. Here you have to examine the level. You have to tell how far it is true, or generally assess means assess the development of something, of your program, or you can say you can assess the status of coral reefs, mangroves, like that. So you can present some data. Even those data we don't pick from any source by reading current affairs or something. We know the syllabus. For each syllabus we understand, we have some ready-made definitions, and we also collect what is the status of each thing. So like those 40-50 things, status, case studies, all the things we keep ready. I will talk about that in a while. So this is also simple. Like you just need some data which we will keep ready, and in such questions we simply mention this is the level, this is to this extent it happened. So we give this, we examine here, or we evaluate here, or we review. Fourth level, comment. Do you agree? That means he is asking your opinion. But strictly speaking, it is not your personal opinion. Whatever you say, you have to substantiate with data. That means you have to follow according to so-and-so report, according to so-and-so thing. So you should have that. Here also we keep certain things ready-made. We collect and keep it. And accordingly we mention. And finally, some words like discuss, debate, argue, critically analyze, critically examine. In that case, suppose here comment, do you agree? You have choice in which side to take. Like, maybe you may agree, sometimes you may disagree, sometimes you may have both the opinion, certain cases you may agree and at the same time you may have, concerns also. But here you must consider both the sides. You have to discuss. Like, like in the case of comprehension, really speaking, in CSAT, paper 2 of prelims, there also he give, like inference based questions, implication based questions like this. Though he mentioned what can you infer from this passage, what can you imply from this passage, but strictly speaking, if you go in depth to the question, he hardly differentiate those. Though they have little different meaning. For example, inference means you confine to the passage. Imply means you can take little liberty and you can imply. Maybe you can take one step extra. Assumption means another step extra, like that. But he won't show lot of variation. Here also, this is like directly you state, no need to explain anything, just mention it. Here you explain also why and how it happened. Here you analyze also with data. Here you give your opinion also. Here you talk about both the sides, you discuss it on that side as well as this side. So this is the true meaning. But actually some cases it may not be possible. He just give the words like that. In such case, don't be, nothing to take them too serious. But broadly you understand these are, different levels of questions. Second second Ratna is right sequence. Many a times candidates have a great content, but unfortunately they do not present it in the right sequence. Means they do not present their points in coherence. Let me explain this with an example. Take this question asked in 2020. The rock cut in paper 1. The rock cut architecture represents one of the most important sources of our knowledge of early Indian art and history. Discuss. See, the rock cut architecture. Rock cut architecture means generally you go to cave architecture or rock cut temples. It represents one of the most important sources of our knowledge of early Indian art and history. Discuss. Without understanding the question, simply some of the aspirants, I don't say all, but most of the aspirants, maybe they can simply list down the caves and they write about those caves. Like they talk about Barabar caves, Udaygiri caves. Of course, they can speak about Bhimbetka also, but Bhimbetka are not rock cut architecture, it is rock shelters. Or you can talk about Karle, Kaneri, Baja caves, Ajanta caves, Ellora caves, Sittanvasal caves, Elephanta caves, Bagh caves, Badami caves. Even you talk about Mahabalipuram rock cut temples, Kailash temple, in Ellora rock cut temple. So you can talk about all these, what you can find in Barabar caves, what you have seen in Udaygiri caves, Udaygiri and Kandagiri. Or of course, Udaygiri also. Udaygiri belong to Gupta period which are in Madhya Pradesh. Udaygiri and Kandagiri belong to King Karavela in Odisha. Like this, they just mention the caves and, they talk about various things which are found in those caves. See, what is the question asked and what you are presenting? Of course, what you are presenting is right information, but the sequence or the coherence is meaningless. He did not ask you to list down various caves or various rock cut temples and mention highlight the features of them. That is not the question. The question is how this rock cut architecture represents most important sources of our knowledge of early Indian art and history. So the best way, if you learn to, present in coherence, what we can do is history and we get information about various kings from this. For example, Loma Rishi cave in Barabar caves, where Ajivika sect, that cave was donated to Ajivika sect at the time of Ashoka himself. Similarly, you talk about Udayagiri and Kanagiri caves in Odisha, where we came to know about King Karvela and his patronage to Jainism. Similarly, you talk about Udayagiri caves in Madhya Pradesh, where we came to, it's not came to know, we have some valuable information about Gupta dynasty, especially belong to Chandragupta II and Kumar Gupta. So the heading should not be the name of the cave or name of the place. So how they are the sources of knowledge of early Indian art and history. So history की बात करेंगे, some information about various reign of various kings. Then history and religion, like Karle, Kaneri, Baja caves. You can talk about Buddhist caves. Ajanta, Bagh, they are also Buddhist caves. Elephanta and Badami, Brahmanical faiths. Some religious information. Similarly, Sitan Vasal belong to Jain team. Ellora, all faiths. So like that you can mention. Then art की बात करें, because he is talking about Indian art and history. Art में sculpture की बात करें, you can mention the sculpture like God, Vishnu. You see, all these are very important ones, and in fact in prelims, even in mains also, in some cases there were previous questions itself. For example, Udayagiri, in Madhya Pradesh Udayagiri I am talking, God Vishnu in his incarnation as the boar-headed Varaha rescuing the earth, that was there. In fact, it was a previous prelims question. Elephanta caves, you have Trimurti sculpture, which was also a previous question. Shiva as Nataraja, Shiva as Yogishvara, Shiva as Ardhanarishvara, that kind of sculpture you find in Elephanta caves. In Mahabalipuram, you have the descent of Ganges and Arjuna's penance, and the Mahishasura Mardini in relief. All these sculpture you found, so you can mention that. Similarly, in art, painting, you talk about Ajanta and Bagh Buddhist paintings. Even you can mention one or two examples. Bodhisattva Padmapani was mentioned, was well depicted, and various Jataka tales are depicted in Ajanta. Sittanvasal, Jain theme, paintings of Jain theme. Badami caves, earliest known Brahmanical paintings. Though there are, one or two caves of other faiths also, but major I am talking. So paintings you can mention. Then you can also talk about the architecture aspect of art. For example, you talk about only rock cut architecture I am talking. If you remember, Bhimarada, in Mahabalipuram, where it has a kind of roof, elephant back type, what you call Gajapristakara, or the Draupadi Radha, like in the form of a Bengali hut, like even it doesn't have a portico, so it has this and a hanging roof, what you can say, a type of Bengali hut. So you can mention that kind of thing. And Kailash temple, which is a masterpiece. So like this, this is the way, the same information, this information is also picked from various caves and various rock cut temples. But the way you order your answer, should be according to the question. So you have to learn this. So this should be our understanding, right? Coherence, how you are presenting, how you are framing your lines, what headings and in what order you are framing. This is the second Ratna. All the things we improve. When we start answer writing, this is the focus of this. That's why I am showing you, why we are doing this program. And the third Ratna is right time. See, you have only 180 minutes. Suppose you get 10 questions of 10 marks, where the demand is 150 words, and 10 questions of 15 marks, where the demand is 250 words. So here you get approximately 7 to 8 minutes. I take 8 minutes. Here I take 10 minutes. This is all what you get per question. If you use each of these 180 minutes without any break, which is also very difficult. Now you see, in 8 minutes you have to write 150 word question. In 10 minutes you have to write 250 words question. That means if you, maximum limit is 2500 plus 1500, 4000 words. Writing 4000 words in 180 minutes is really difficult. And you need to think also. So, but what most of the aspirants do, since they have to write along so many things, so they don't have much time to think. So after writing the answer, they get 2-3 more valid points, but after that they cannot accommodate them. So you write short and crisp answers. For a 150 word question, you see, this is the maximum word limit he is asking. You should not cross this. That is what he is meaning. And some people, they try to write for 150 word question, they write 200 word answer. In the beginning at least. First few questions. 250 word question, they write 350 words. For 150, if you can write 100 to 110 words, it's a beautiful answer. For 250, if you write approximately 150 to 160 words, it's a beautiful answer. You should not write beyond that. So write short and crisp answers. No redundant information. Like, don't say the same thing in different sentences. For example, you talk about Delhi to Mumbai highway. I am taking the part of golden quadrilateral. Then don't talk about Jaipur, Udaipur. For example, you talk about Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Surat. Don't mention them as separate points. If you talk about Delhi to Mumbai, you say via Jaipur, Udaipur, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Surat. So they are on the way. So it's all one point. Connect everything like that. So no redundant information. So keep your answer so short. क्या आपको छोटी छोटी इंफॉर्मेशन फॉर एग्जांपल कंसेप्ट को 3-4 पेजेस का मटेरियल देंगे तो अच्छा लगेगा, या टू द पॉइंट बात करेंगे तो इजी लगेगा. पेपर सेट ऑल्सो जो करेक्ट करने वाले को भी सिंपल एंड क्रिस्प आंसर्स देखने में मजा आएगा, बट उसमें वैल्यू लोडेड पॉइंट्स होना चाहिए. पॉइंट ऐसा नहीं वैसा लिख लिया, हर पॉइंट में उनको अच्छा लगना चाहिए. सो राइट वेरी लेस but valuable points. So before writing, spend more time in thought than on writing. Don't waste your time in writing. Don't write. We write very, very small answers. So think of, like if it is 150 word question, think of 3 thoughts what I am going to write. If it is 15 marks, think of 5 thoughts and convert those thoughts to text. These are 3 things I am going to present. Yes. You will understand this better when we see. I'll make more videos, to help you develop that. It is all matter of, you can say 20 to 30 days. So even to make it faster, because once you have the syllabus, for wherever it is required, hardly 50-60 such things. What is globalization? What is inclusive growth? What is sustainable development? For all such things you should have ready-made definition. Certain things you have ready-made examples and case studies. What happened in this tourism? Like, is there any case study? Is there any example of success model? I'll keep myself. It's not that because they are written, they are given in any newspaper or magazine, then I'll take. I will search because I know what I require to clear this exam, because I know what I want. So accordingly I find and I keep it in an order. So wherever it is required, I will bring it and use it. It's not that, I don't read current affairs. I don't waste my time in that. And current affairs I cover, but I should know before that. In this thing, it happened. So I go and search and take it. Not because I do not know anything, because somebody has told some compilation is given, I study. No. I go to a shop, I decide why I am going, what I need to buy. So I go and buy that. It's not that, I simply go and whatever I find there, I just buy it if I like it. Of course, मैं ऐसा खरीदता हूँ, but यह नहीं चलेगा. Similarly, ready-made status and data. Certain things certain data you need to have. For example, in various things. For example, you talk about tribal population or in general census related or some economy certain data. Or you talk about certain status of various environment related things. What is the status of climate? What is the status of various ecosystems, all these things, you keep the ready-made status and data because you know the syllabus, you know what you require for your exam, so it is all defined. So based on that you keep. So looking at the syllabus, you structure each subject or each module and collect it yourself based on the syllabus, not because an article or an editorial is written somewhere, that's why you are collecting data. Even if you collect data because it is written in some article, you do not know when to use it. Such data is useless. So it is so simple. So 3 steps, if you understand. 1, you need to structure your syllabus properly. Second, on each point of that syllabus, you should have around 2 to 3 sentences. Basics you must know of each of that syllabus. Third, wherever required, definition, an example or case study, or if anything is required, there is a requirement of data, you can keep it ready. So with this and with practice of proper presentation, like as we have discussed, so you can simply improve this answer writing. It's a matter of 1 month and very easy, and it is not a challenge. Starting from 0 you can do this. So this is all about this video. Hope you have understood. Thank you for watching this video.